Hello and welcome to New York City Atheists Live on Tape, brought to you by New York City Atheists Incorporated. I'm your host, Dennis Horvitz, the David Letterman of the Hopelessly Damned.
Is that on?
We are taping from one of our annual Sunday brunches, and we are very lucky today. This is very exciting. We're actually playing to a packed house. Our guest today is a good friend of mine and the former president of American Atheists, Ellen Johnson. I guess I kind of first met Ellen in person back in 2002 at the Goblins in 1998 for the Clinton administration, and demanded that atheists get a place at the table. I think she is the former president of American Atheists, and she's now involved in a program called EnlightenTheVote.com, and she's the executive. All right, this will come out eventually. She is the executive director of EnlightenTheVote.com, and the purpose of the organization is to get atheists elected to public office. She met with the Office of Public Liaison in 1998 for the Clinton administration, and demanded that atheists get a place at the table. I think we've had some success at that up to this point. We still have to go a lot farther. She's also has been a frequent guest on national radio and TV, including handling columns on Fox Network, The O'Reilly Factor, Larry King Live, the CBS Early Show. She's survived like that. She's been a guest on CBS Sunday Morning. I'm reading off a list to take the entire program to read the whole list. She's an honorary associate of the Rationalist International and honorary board member of Scouting for All, a nationwide group that seeks to end discrimination against atheists and gays within the Boy Scouts of America. In May of 2008, Ellen Johnson and Ken Luukkonen completed a freedom walk that was originally started in 1963. It was thwarted by, the walk was done by atheist Bill Moore, who attempted to carry a letter for racial harmony from Tennessee to the governor of Mississippi, and he was murdered in 1963, 2 days into his walk. And Ellen did complete that walk, and now she's here. And without further ado, my very good friend, Ellen Johnson. Please.
Thank you, Dennis. Actually, I think the first time we met was at a New York City Atheist meeting. You made a face at somebody, and I said, I like that guy. Thank you, Jane, for inviting me. Thank you all for being here to hear me. Actually, I came here to see you because it's been way too long. So thank you from me to you for doing this for me. I was told that I have to stand over here because of the filming. Is this okay? Am I okay? Come forward a little bit. Okay. The 1963 walk, we did finish it. In 1963, atheist Bill Moore, and you need to know about him. He was an atheist, and he made a sandwich board sign in you'll hear this, Madeline Murray O'Hair's kitchen. It said, black or white, eat at Joe's, Mississippi or bust. And he was going to hand deliver that letter. He was going to start in Tennessee. He was a mailman. He delivered letters for a living. So he said, I'm going to deliver this letter. He was also from the South, and he didn't like what was happening with, with race relations at that time. He said, I don't like what's happening in my home, the South. I'm going to hand deliver this letter of racial harmony to then Governor Ross Barnett. 2 days into his walk, he was murdered. There's a book written about the walk, about Bill Moore, and his picture, an atheist's picture, is in the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute, and you also need to know that. It's also at the at another civil rights memorial in Alabama too. So you should know about that. It's very important. So within 1 week, 10 freedom walkers half black, half white, attempted to finish the walk of Bill Moore. They were arrested as they attempted to enter Alabama, the state of Alabama, and they were thrown into Kilby Prison, where they languished there for over a month. And they were given cornbread and buttermilk and onion or something like that to eat. And a couple of them went on a hunger strike. After a month or so, they were released. But they never got to finish the walk. The walk was done in Bill's walk was done in March of 1963. By the end of that year, by August of that year, over 700 people attempted to finish the walk of a man they never even knew. None of them were able to finish that walk because they were all arrested. Does anybody remember the TV show The Flying Nun? Remember Sister Bertreel? Margaret, I forget her name. Margaret.
Sally Field.
No, the sister, the Mother Superior, the one who was her boss.
Right.
Not a Catholic. Margaret, someone or other, I can't remember her name offhand. Hamilton. She was one of the freedom walkers who attempted to finish the walk, and she was also arrested and thrown in prison. So I saw this video that I'm going to show you, and Madeline mentioned Bill Moore, and it always stuck in my head, Bill Moore, Bill Moore, and I thought to myself, if Madeline O'Hare is mentioning Bill Moore, it's important. He's somebody. But I had never heard of Bill Moore. I learned about Bill Moore, and I got this book about Bill Moore, and about the walk, and I'm reading and I'm looking, and over and over and over again, I'm reading the book saying, when was the letter delivered? When was it finished? And it never was. The bigots won. The bigots won for 45 years. The bigots prevailed. I said, no, that's going to stop. The bigots cannot prevail, all right? And in memory of all those people who went to jail, and in memory of all those people who tried to attempt that walk, we have to finish that walk. We have to deliver the letter. So Ken Lucan and I did that. 45 years to the day. On the exact same day that Bill Moore started his walk, we were in Alabama at the site where he was murdered, where his body was found. I can't believe we were there, but a reporter took us to the very site. And there were a couple of other people who joined us on the walk, and we started off, and they started the first day with us, and it took us 2 weeks, hundreds and hundreds of miles. We did about 22 miles a day. We each broke it up 10 miles or so, 11 miles each. And we delivered the walk, and all along the way, and even prior to that, we kept contacting the governor of Mississippi. What's his name? Who knows the governor? Who's the governor of Mississippi now? No, Haley Barbour. Haley Barbour, you win a prize. Haley Barbour, Governor Haley Barbour. We were contacting his office all along the way saying, please, will you come and take the letter? We don't have to have media. We don't have to have anybody know about it. I just want to put it in your hands. Actually, I wasn't going to put it in his hands. One of the original freedom walkers, and a few of them are still alive, the original 10, they're going to put it in his hands, not me. I wanted the original freedom walkers, one of them, who were in prison. Bob Zellner met us down there when we finished the walk 2 weeks later, to hand deliver, to put it in the hands of the governor of Mississippi. We got there. Bob Zellner got there. We were at the governor's office, and all along the way they would not give us a commitment. Would not. We kept saying, well, here, this is where we are. Here's where we are. Here's where we are. When we're going to be. We anticipate being at your office at this date. On and on and on. Never could get a commitment. Finally, we showed up at his office, and they wouldn't let us in. They said they'll send a lackey down to take it. We said, no way. No way. So we want the governor. We want the governor to take this letter. It never happened, folks. The governor was across a few blocks over at a Marriott at some economic summit. But they knew we were going to be there. So we got the letter to Mississippi, to the governor's mansion. It has yet to get into the hands of the governor. But don't worry, folks. It will happen. We will get the letter into the hands of the governor of Mississippi. Okay, we're here to talk about Madeline. So let's talk about Madeline on the anniversary of her death. And then when I'm done here, why don't we just open it up and we'll talk about anything you want, all right? We'll answer questions. They said there's no time limit here. So let's go with it, and we'll show you some videos and photographs along the way. So it's been 15 years now since the deaths of the founder of American Atheists, MADALYN OHAIR, her son John Murray, and MADALYN's adopted granddaughter, Robin Murray OHAIR. John was the president of American Atheists, and Robin was the editor of the American Atheist Press at the time of their murders. And does anybody not know that they were murdered in 1995? Okay, great, I don't have to go into that then. They died in San Antonio, Texas in 1995, and when they did, it was the end of an era. But Texas is also where it all began for American Atheists, and so I'd like to show you a video retrospective of MADALYN OHAIR, which will also explain to many newcomers a little bit about how it all began for American Atheists. Most people probably assume that MADALYN OHAIR's social activism began in 1963 with the win in the Supreme Court case of Murray versus Curlett, but it actually began way before that. She had very deep roots in a union family. Her father owned a glass manufacturing company, and he would only hire union workers. When she began to learn about early union movements in America, she said that she wept when she had learned about what had been done to union organizers, workers, strikers, educators, and union advocates. She received her law degree. She went on to get a law degree in 1952. She spent 3 years in World War II as a commissioned officer in the Women's Army Corps. She principally served with the U.S. Army Signal Corps as a cryptographic security analyst officer. Her 3 years of foreign service were spent in Africa, Italy, and France. MADALYN later began working at the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare as an attorney adjudicating claims with the Social Security Administration. Now, around that time, the only government union was the Postal Workers Union. 3 attempts had been made to unionize the Social Security Administration employees, and all 3 failed. So MADALYN decided to try to organize the lawyers, and she did it. Thanks to MADALYN OHAIR, that union is still in existence today. Her union activities, however, caused her to lose her job. With her love of learning, she decided to get her master's degree in psychiatric social work at Howard University. She was then able to become a supervisor in the juvenile department of the Baltimore Department of Public Welfare. Her social conscience extended to organizing a Baltimore protest against strontium-90, a deadly radioactive isotope. There was atmospheric testing of atomic devices taking place in the 1950s. Strontium-90 was even found in milk at that time, resulting from fallout from nuclear testing precipitating onto the grasses that the cows ate. But she did even more. Dennis, would you hit it? I think you're missing a button. No?
I've been accused of that.
No volume. Where's the sound? Need audio.
Abiding intellect, injustices, oppressions, cruelties, discriminations, and coercions in our culture, for the lies and deceits of the duplicities. Please notice that I said intellectual hatred, and that's a concept I'm not sure that you understand. But beneath all of my activity, despite the good jobs I did, was a non-acceptance of me, because first I was an atheist. And the people with whom I was working quite frequently would say, you as an atheist can't be the one that takes the letter to the White House. Second, because I was a woman. You have no idea how women are hated in America by the left until you try a couple of years in action with it.
Okay, end it right. Okay? Okay? In 1962, MADALYN and her teenage son, William J. Murray III, sued the president and board of school commissioners of Baltimore City, Maryland, to stop compulsory Bible reading and reverential unison prayer recitation from the homerooms of the nation's public schools. In the Murray versus Curlett case, the Murrays did something unheard of before then. They declared to the court that they were atheists and they objected to the organized prayers and Bible readings because of their atheism, not because they were of a minority religion and objected to the particular deity being prayed to. They objected because they were atheists. In looking back at that case, MADALYN said that prayers were irrational and that even if there never was an establishment clause to the First Amendment, they still would have sued, because no child, she said, should be taught to engage in that kind of insane activity. Dennis?
Siege, the author of many books and articles, and is a leader in the fight for separation of church and state. Would you welcome, please, MADALYN Murray OHAIR. I was talking with someone this morning who heard you, I guess on the radio, I don't know if it was a tape show or something, and they said, you were receiving as usual, your usual vilification and phone calls. And I've often wondered, you've spent a good number of your years, your life in fighting causes that are not too popular and cause great emotional reactions in people when it comes to religion, and your famous Susan Baltimore about prayers in school, who led that fight. Does it disturb you when you get such vilification and violent reaction from people? All of a sudden you say, what kind of Christian-like attitude is that?
Well, that always comes to mind, of course, but the most important thing, I think, is that this is their problem. I'm not involved in those emotional, heated ideas. I'm involved in an intellectual pursuit of specific problems in our society, and that's it. It's an exciting intellectual experience, and it's very exciting to uncover the facts that are never told anywhere. But there's no sense of getting angry about it. There's no sense of reacting to anger. I would be down to drain it by immediately tomorrow. And it's their problem. People who hate are in great trouble. And I'm sorry for those people who hate so bad. But I don't hate anybody.
Now, when you had a court ruling that was unconstitutional to have prayers in schools, and the Constitution does say there shall be absolute separation, and Congress shall make no law abridging freedom and so forth. And yet there are a great number of bills, I guess, still in Congress, where people are trying to get prayer back in schools. Why do they feel it's so important? I mean, prayer always seems to be a rather private, exercise with the mind. Why is it people are so, if people want to pray, they can pray at home, privately. Why is it that they are so adamant about the prayers?
They can pray in church, they can pray at home, they can pray anywhere that they really want to pray. And what staggers me is the Christians who want to pray in private understand a little bit better. Jesus Christ, in the Sermon on the Mount, specifically said, do not pray in public. Do not even pray in your churches. Public prayer, even in churches, is hypocritical. So all these people know more than Jesus Christ does, which staggers me to begin with. But to ask the question, of course, this is symbolism. And the symbolism is a method of capturing ideas. And since the end of the Second World War, there has been a very definite government effort to turn us into a Christian nation with a civil religion. This was manifest throughout the Eisenhower Nixon regime, and currently, recently, with the Nixon regime. And religion was the willing persons to be associated with this whole concept. And in return, religion got money, power, special favors, tax exemption for businesses, just for everything. It's the most horrible, water-edge kind of thing that religion has been in, that I am staggered they have been able to keep it under control.
There was one word that MADALYN couldn't say on the Johnny Parsons show. Can anybody think of what that word is?
Atheist.
Atheist. She couldn't say the word atheist. My times have changed. What can't you say today? After the Supreme Court decided 8-1, am I okay? In favor of the atheist family, it became impossible for MADALYN to find employment in mainstream America. I can relate to that. Because of the trial, she was fired from her job as a psychiatric social worker in Baltimore, and with the help of 5 supporters of her Supreme Court case, she formed a corporation known as Other Americans. At that time, there already was an organization known as Protestants and Other Americans, United for the Separation of Church and State, which was the precursor to the organization you know today as Americans United for the Separation of State and Church. We have 2 more clips.
They forget,
Moralistic and so forth.
they forget that this is supposed to be a voluntary association of people and religion. I feel that everybody who wants to be a Baptist has a right to be a Baptist, go to a Baptist church, contribute to the Baptist establishment, and be ruled by Baptist laws. But the thing that infuriates me is that this religion and all other organized religions aren't content there. They want to reach into the general public and make us accept their rules of conduct, their ideas of morality, their ideas of ethics, and then they ask us to pay for it. In addition, they ask us to pay for it because they have an enormous tax-free base.
You're talking about all organized religions.
All organized religion, every cotton-picking one is guilty.
Some statistics, for example.
Oh,
In your book, you say that the problem is getting statistics from churches generally is that they are not required by law really to reveal their income.
but
and
they
their
are
investments.
required by law. And this has been the thing that floors me. The Bureau of Census has been empowered to ask the churches how many members they have. And there's a rare game of giving a greater number of members than one has, simply because this empowers the church to ask for more tax money if they inflate the figure. But the Bureau of Census has power. And in 1906, 1916, 1926, and 1936, they counted what the churches had, and they were staggered by the enormous sums of money and pieces of property. So in 1946, led by the Baptists again, the churches refused to be involved with this law, and they deliberately avoided it. They have hidden what they have had ever since, and they can put every industry to shame. There is no single industry or group of major industries in the United States that has the wealth or the income year after year that the churches do. The 6 major industries can't hold a drop.
You mentioned 5 companies: Standard Oil, AT&T, Exxon, IBM,
Sears, Standard Oil, all their incomes altogether do not equal the income of the churches. In addition to this, I think that the most staggering thing is that in every state of the Union, from 18 to 22% of all land that is owned by the churches, tax-free.
Well, when we take a break, we'll come back and find out how the average citizen, what the average citizen has to pay to make up
Good enough.
what his tax tax. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back.
Anthony wants to no kidding. November 6, 1967. Look at this guy. Just made his first Holy Communion. Here is Madeline Murray O'Hare on, no kidding, the very first Donahue show in Dayton, Ohio. And believe me, rockets went off. Boy, oh boy, did you light up the switchboard. Matt? Before the National Religious Broadcasters Annual Convention said, among other things, let's show 'em. My president said, let me begin with some good news for modern man. According to Gallup, the Gallup surveys, no society is more religious than the United States of America. 7 in 10 Americans believe in life after death. 8 in 10 that God works miracles. 9 in 10 Americans pray. And more than 90% believe in God, to which I say, thank God. The president concludes by saying, I wish it were 100.
Enormous difficulty with President Bush and with the attorneys on his staff. And this is because he, before his election, made a comment at O'Hare Airport in Chicago, Illinois, that he did not consider an atheist to be either a citizen or a patriot. And we have been trying to make him rescind those words, and we have asked for a meeting with him. We've done everything. Because I think that no president can make a commitment like that or say 100% when he knows that at least 11% are atheists.
You can't get a meeting with him?
No, I can't.
Well, I'll make the call for
A few years after the Supreme Court decision, Madalyn's son, Bill Murray, began dating a Jewish girl named Susan Abramovitz. The Abramovitz family was Orthodox Jews. Susan's parents didn't like her dating Bill, more so because he wasn't Jewish than because he was an atheist, interestingly. When Susan became pregnant and she wanted to marry, and she and Bill wanted to marry, they were only 17 years of age. So Madalyn signed consent forms for them, and the two were married. And on February the 24th, 1965, Robin O'Hare was born. The Abramovitz family filed a suit against Madalyn, stating that she had kidnapped and brainwashed their daughter. For unknown reasons, a court ordered Susan into the custody of her aunt and uncle. When Susan didn't appear at their house, the police went looking for her at Madalyn's house. But lacking a search warrant, Madalyn and Bill quite rightly wouldn't let the police in. The police, however, charged their way into the house, and when the Murrays resisted, they were severely beaten. The neighbors egged on the police, shouting, "Kill him, hit him harder, get that bitch." Mrs. Murray's aging mother was hospitalized with a brain concussion, and Madalyn was also hospitalized. The Murray family was charged with assault and battery of 14 police officers, and they were sent to jail. They were released on bail, and fearing a hearing before a hostile court, they decided to leave the state of Maryland. Madalyn stated that if I go before that kangaroo court, I wouldn't stand a chance. The police would bring in 250 witnesses and neighbors who hate me. The Baltimore Sun newspaper at that time editorialized on that city's shameful treatment of the family, stating that the city had, quote, treated Mrs. Murray shabbily, end quote.